This is the Generative AI Security Podcast, brought to you by the OWASP Top 10 for LLM apps and GenAI. We'll be talking about pertinent industry issues around generative AI with our project leads, contributors, and more. Please click like and subscribe for all of our latest content.
Hey community, Aubrey here with the OWASP Top 10 for large language model applications and generative AI. Thanks for coming and tuning into the third episode of this wonderful podcast where we are not just going through our meeting minutes, and we are actually going and talking to some of the people in our project and some of the people in the community who are kind of really involved in all this stuff, right in the weeds, putting on the hip waders if you get that sort of reference as well, and really doing the yeoman's share of the labor. Joining me today, I've got Ads. So, Ads, how you doing?
Hey man, I'm good. Thank you for asking, and thanks for having me. It's awesome being here.
Yeah, I love talking to you because I'm always like shocked. It's every time I talk to you, I end up like having like an open mouth, like oh my god, like there's always something that just shocks me. So it is. It's good to bring you on. And for those, actually, I won't even intro you. I'll just say, why don't you let the community, if there's anyone out there watching this that does not know Ads yet, what is it that you do Ads?
Awesome, thanks. I'm Ads. I'm a AI security researcher at Dreadnode. I have been in security for around maybe close to 15 years. Started out as a network engineer, still love networking, it's fantastic. I then went into network pen testing, focused into AppSec, and then I ended up working at a foundation model provider, which is kind of like my intro into AI. I got involved in the OWASP project, which is how I know your good self. And then, yeah, I've been continuing and kind of riding that exciting wave ever since, having fun.
It's interesting. So you mentioned kind of the transition there, kind of how you got into the AI portion. And I know we didn't really prep this one, but with I don't know, did you happen to catch Steve's article on transformation? He wrote a blog post on transformation on LinkedIn. I don't know if you got a chance to see
I
that.
haven't seen that actually, to be honest.
It was fascinating, and it was really neat. Just watching him talk about how he became kind of the lead in our project, and going through and making this big change that ended up taking him to Exabeam, and why, and really just fascinating. And it's neat when I hear people talk about how they ended up getting involved in this AI thing as well.
Yeah.
For me, it was like I had a shocking revelation that, hey, I don't know who's in charge of securing this thing, and this AI thing that is, and my kids are going to have to deal with this. So I joined the project like probably a week after that, and a conversation with Jason Ross also helped out too. He really kind of gave me the final push, like get in here, start helping.
Yeah. No, they're definitely cool dudes. It's a really exciting place to be. I guess the stars kind of aligned for me. It sounds corny, but I think I saw like Steve post something on LinkedIn, which was like shared or something, and I was like, I have no idea about AI, so it was just like an awesome opportunity to actually career and open source. I was used to like a lot from like web application hacking and bug bounties, and then working like security engineering. So yeah, it's cool, and it's been fun ever since.
It is, and it's funny because it does seem like everyone in the project or involved in the project has had some sort of change, occurring, not just in on LinkedIn, but also really in the day to day. So, and now with you are doing quite a bit of red teaming, and that really is what we wanted to talk. I know the community wants to hear more about red teaming. I get notes about it all the time. And frankly, I just look at our videos on our YouTube channel, and I see that the red teaming stuff is all way high in terms of the views that we get and the consumptions that we get. So I thought it was interesting. You were talking a little bit about offensive agents, right? So I think that, yeah, and I said to you before, I think that, with agentic AI, I think people just think about it as, oh, this is just going to be an agent somewhere doing something for me, and it's just a piece of software. But why don't you, I guess, fill in the community on what an offensive agent might look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really lucky in my current line of work, working with Dreadnode. I get to spend a lot of time actually building and evaluating offensive agents. So like at a very high level, that's effectively equipping an agent with tool use, which we're all familiar with from like a defensive standpoint. But actually kind of like using that for offensive application, offensive security, hacking, evaluating that, optimizing that, and kind of iterating. Like the results are like awesome. It's super fun because I like hacking. I like to see agents hack. It's really cool. You see some of the CVs and stuff that are being exploited right now by agents. It's happening real time, and as the models are improving, not that that's necessarily like a stopgap. It's yeah, it's awesome. So just to give like a I guess like a brief example, we have a tool called RoboPages, which, if anyone is familiar with man pages, it's a manual on a tool. Effectively, RoboPages, what it does, it equips agents with tools that you may be familiar with from an offensive security perspective, and actually you providing those agents a way to actually use them, exploit them. Sorry, not exploit them, but exploit a target with said tool. Yeah.
Now that I'm taking a look at this on another screen. RoboPages can be found on the Dreadnode GitHub. I'm seeing. Right?
That's one of our tools out there right now. That was released recently, and it's super fun.
So if I was let's say I was a bad actor and I wanted to go ahead and just get a lot of work done, or I wanted to just go forth and exploit something, or I had a specific target, how am I going to, I guess, incorporate an offensive agent or many offensive agents into my bag of tricks to try and achieve my goals? Like just
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So I think like if we were to go really detailed into it, you obviously need to like take a step back and look at picking the right model for the right task. Those kind of things, providing it the right amount of context, the right dynamic, equipping the right tooling. But then you want to make sure that you're actually like effectively optimizing on that. So, receiving a result and then making another decision as like you do in your own kind of brain logic. Um, I think from like where we are right now, and the thing that is really successful is either building frameworks where you can kind of give an agent like a set of tools and let it go ham, so to speak. Just kidding, but or you have the ability to integrate artificial intelligence within your existing tools. So like just to give an example on that is like another tool that we released recently, which is called Burpference, which is a take on
burps,
inference. Yeah,
burp suite.
matching,
Yeah.
yeah, Burp Suite, right? So just built like a simple Burp Suite extension, which like feeds data to a model, so you can plug in like Alarm or something like that, and you can have it like basically review your request and response traffic, receive that. So it's almost like if you were to have like a hacking buddy kind of over your shoulder, kind of
Yeah.
giving you that visibility. So yeah, absolutely. And then Robo Pages would be the perfect example of example one, where you're giving an agent a task, a set of tools, and then evaluating that and optimizing on it.
Now, what might a task be? A sample task for RoboPages, for instance.
Yeah, let's say like so there was a tool release recently. It's kind of like Fuff for anyone that's familiar with it, but it was effectively like fuzzing API endpoints. So you could like what I would do or what I tend to do is just go back to like the kill chain. So like recon, weaponization, and then work your way into exploitation those ways. So if we give an example, you might be fuzzing for API endpoints. You might be, like you might be trying to brute force. You might be trying to decode ciphers, things like that.
So in terms of like, let's just the first one you said, in terms of fuzzing API endpoints, would it be that then maybe the agent is trying to cut down on the amount of time that you'd have to actually spend against those API endpoints to exploit them individually? That's kind of the
Yeah, exactly. So you have like an agent which is fuzzing a bunch of API endpoints for a said web application, and then it's iterating, making requests, retrieving responses, and then providing a report on that. So you're able to like do mass fuzzing across multiple different targets at the same time with multiple different agents responding to you and saying like, hey, I've got a deprecated API version which is responding with a 200, which could be like super interesting for us because like a common attack vector for web applications is deprecated APIs which might still be live, endpoints which might be still accepting traffic or don't conform to like current API specs. So that as a hacker, it gives us an advantageous a degree which we can then try and exploit, and then we can take our next decision and kind of take the path from there.
It's funny because it seems like I don't know. The more I use simple LLMs in my day to day and writing posts, social posts um, or whatever, coming up with whatever else I would come up with. I do a lot of kind of structure for things that I'm going to write. Like I'll just kind of say, hey, give me a structure for this sort of talk, and then I'll fill in the meat because I don't want AI filling in the meat. It seems to be the same goal. It's just kind of cut down on the amount of actual intense labor that I would have to do to complete that task. Right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, we're effectively building for AI security, and we'll want to see AI systems automate hacking tasks, just as we are doing. You have multiple agents, just like you can increase productivity on writing content or creating diaries or any kind of productivity that anyone's using it for right now. You can totally automate that and X that. We've seen like another example, I'd say, is that we always talk about like things like Copilot, and there's like a huge market for code assistants and things like that, right? There's multiple like open source tools now which are actually like evaluating repositories, finding potential CWEs or CVEs, either then trying to exploit that themselves as via that decision made, or then reporting that. There's common bug bounty platforms where platforms are signing up for that, and you have the ability to get rewarded on insecure code and things like that. So that's like another huge way. Like you scrape a bunch of targets from a bug bounty, and you may have agents that are iterating and scanning that source code. Obviously, there's a cost and there's a trade off to that, but definitely for sure that's like one thing that is very common right now. As another example.
okay. Now, for people that can't quite envision, I guess how an agent would be utilized. I think most people think of AI assistants or whatever as this is running in one window on my desktop, and then I've got this other window run. But agents aren't quite like that, right? I mean, you would want to maybe take up, like, let's say the fuzzing, for instance. Like, would you want to make a payload or something like that and spearfish a target so that they'd run the agent for you, or is that kind of the typical
Yeah,
role?
I think like if you were to do like a fuzzing technique, right? So like let's say you company X and you have like that's your target. So first of all, you do like your normal data scrape. So you're looking for common endpoints, looking for API, open API schemas. You feed that information in the right context and in the right way into a model and get it to predict or create its own word list based on like significant factors. So like, terminology used in the business, products used, things like that. All these things that could kind of give away like almost internal endpoint names that are significant to that company, like all contextual based, where if you were doing this manually, would like both ways are like not 100% accurate, but the X-fold on how you're able to do that with an agent. If you say create me a word list based off like the word fox, 100 words, then a model's able to do that. Whereas I would probably stumble at like 3, right? Like just
Yeah.
using fox as like the example, of like company X. So, and then obviously you can equip an agent with a tool such as Fuff, which is like, there's Kite Runner, there's a bunch of tools out there which are great open source, which you can, integrate your agent into or feed that to an agent, and then ask it to exploit step 1 of that process. And you can do this on an automated fashion, right? Unfortunately, like we need to sleep, but uh, yeah, that's another benefit of automation, which is one of the reasons why we've been doing it for such a long time in terms of just automate it, right?
Boy, it's funny. It's like when you said we need sleep, it just brought me back to my sysadmin days. Like, I don't know if I need, like, I know I need sleep now, but like
Yeah, I wish
you know,
I didn't.
20 years ago, Aubrey, I could just need a lot of caffeine and that could have worked.
That's all you need, caffeine, man.
Oh, not anymore. We rough on the ticker after time.
Mm.
Um, that's it's fascinating to me how quickly this stuff is moving too. I mean, it seems like it was only a couple months ago that I started really hearing about agentic AI, even in our project,
Mm.
and it started to get really conversational. Like this is kind of the next phase here, and we really got to prepare for this. And um, so I guess my question to you then would be, how long do you think it's going to take for us to get some of these types of utilities in like Kali Linux, for instance? Like when does this become kind of like the normal, the easy, the script kiddie stuff? Is there stuff out there like that right now for people looking to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's, if you're looking in the right places for the right tools, a lot of it is definitely there. So like I mentioned Fuff, for example, which
Yep.
is FFUF. I can never remember how you spell it. But there's a repo, Fuff AI right now integrates GPT. There's another really good project, and it's annoying me. I can't think of what it is, what the name is, but it was fantastic. And it basically creates a fuzzing tool equipping like multiple types of agents. So, yeah, in short answer to the question, sorry, there's a bunch of tools out there right now, and that's something that we at Dreadnode are looking to, increase, make like offensive agent tooling. Um, and just publishing great research and great tools out there. On top of that, we do like AI red teaming tools, and then we do cyber evaluations, which is the evaluation of agents in those environments. Which then,
Interesting. And I'm sorry, I'm pulling up the Dreadnode website, but
yeah.
uh, just taking a quick look and seeing some more stuff. And if anyone hasn't been out there, if people don't know,
Mm.
Dreadnode, or you're still kind of like at the foundational models, and that's where you are, um, definitely take a look at it. I mean, the security side of things is really moving fast. Um,
Yeah.
well, let me ask you this too. What do you think is kind of the next big thing here for red teaming? I know obviously you're very involved in the agents and building agents.
Mm.
Is there something hot that we haven't really even started to talk about much in the project that you're seeing that could be a new technique, um, or just something to watch out for that people aren't necessarily looking for yet?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I actually backtrack real quick about Dreadnode? Just one thing to mention, is that we actually have what's a platform called Crucible, which is an AI hacking platform. So anyone who's not familiar with the platform, I would suggest they immediately check it out. It's super cool. Hacking, data science, machine learning, CTF challenges, completely free sign up. Um, Yeah, it's fantastic. We have a bunch of challenges. Don't quote me on how many there are, but there's some really cool ones. And yeah, we have a great Discord community. We have some like very impressive individuals who are, hitting these endpoints. But yeah, I would suggest that as a super cool platform.
I'm glad. I'm really glad you backtracked there because I have a day off tomorrow, and I think I'm probably gonna be just banging at that tomorrow.
Yeah, man, go nuts. Honestly, it's dope. So yeah, for anyone that's Crucible, and you'll find that on our Dreadnode site.
It's right there on Dreadnode.io.
Yeah.
And actually, I may as well just kind of pull it up here if I can, just to kind of show people in case they're they get the wrong they get the wrong site or something like that. This is what you are going to be looking for. So here at Dreadnode and Crucible is your AI hacking playground. So this will be this will be kind of I think my day tomorrow.
Have fun. Have fun. I hope you enjoy it.
I will.
In terms of so we talk a lot about red teaming. We are building AI red teaming tooling at Dreadnode right now. Something we will have in the platform. We have a lot of great ideas, which I think is missing from existing tooling, which is probably quite I guess a longer conversation. But we, in terms of the projects, what it's missing, there's a lot of great initiatives. Right now, I'm very much focused on adversarial machine learning. So I haven't taken a step back from the project, so to speak, but I've just kind of more so focused on the top 10, which has like always been like my primary role as part of the team. Just to avoid burnout and things like that, to be completely honest. But I think I mean, obviously the top 10 is for LM applications. Everyone has their own opinions. I think there are some traditional machine learning attacks that are still used, exploited in the wild, and still very much valid that aren't being included within that list or being missed. Um, Something that I've really tried to be heavy about in some of my entries, like if I take like unbounded resource consumption, I've mentioned a lot of like real-time CVs in there, like proof pudding, for example, which is extraction and evasion. Those are all like very much real world exploits. So I think it's kind of missing that gap. Unsure on where it'll go. I think as well, like the agentic space. When we're not talking about offensive, we're talking about just in general. It's really a crazy cool market, and it's rapidly developing. So it's very hard to predict what's going to come in terms of products. I think equipping like tool use is the primary driver, and continuously will be. So going back to the incredible like benefit that large language models provide us. We've seen things as well like small models. So you've got like Gemini on your cell phone, on your Pixel, so stuff like that. That itself also comes with a lot of really cool exploitation of actually attacking the model, which is also pretty cool, like small models. There's a bunch of like agentic frameworks out there. Just made me think Hugging Face actually released one called Small Agents SMOL, which is super cool.
Small agents.
Yeah, it's a really lightweight framework for agents. SML. There's this one I saw like I think it was today or something. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to predict, and I apologize. It's not the best answer, but we've.
Yeah, that's why I
I,
asked. I mean, like if I figured if there's anyone that I know that might have that sort of answer, it might be you.
Yeah, thank you. I think for the top 10, it's the top 10 has always kind of been, and that's like I guess the lifeblood of OWASP. It's projects which are defined like, top tens are defined by community voting and community data, which is always going to be through a product driven market, right? Like it's not, if I have really strong feelings about something, whereas I say like, it's missing a lot of machine learning concepts and things like that in there, then it's still going to drive towards a market. As soon as like, tool use started to become a thing, that's when like from V1 to V2, I think we removed like insecure design. I don't quote me on it, and then like excessive agency got merged. So you can see those kind of platform trends. Like as the industry changes, that's when the list changes, because that means that there's more API endpoints out there that are exposed to GitHub and other kind of API endpoints which have CRUD operations, right? So yeah.
Man, it's exciting to me, and I just kind of wonder. I mean, we just came out with the version 2. Are you already starting? Kind of getting off red teaming for a second here. Are you starting to look at version 3? Is that has
I
that
don't,
been?
I don't know if we're even going to call it version 3. One thing that Steve will get angry because we actually
2026.
we're 2025, Aubrey, come on. Um, just kidding. Yeah, that I think we will. I think we're very much in early phase. I mean, we're on like January 8 right now, so
Yeah.
but we still need to be prepared. We have a lot of activity in the group, as you know, people collecting data. As I think as we start to gain more momentum into this year, then we'll have more of a defined picture. I assume we'll iterate on the 2025 version a bunch of times, with like fixes or enhancements. But I think like I say, we'll be going for a yearly or annual release cadence, which makes sense.
It does.
We kind of got sticky with the V1 by accident, and then it kind of stuck, and now it's annoying. So it's 2025.
Yeah, 2025.
Can't shake off the name. But yeah, I think one of the main things that I've really tried to do, or I tried to do in V2, is on top of the architecture diagram I did, is actually mapping these LM vulnerability entries, LM01, for example, to actual real world frameworks. So referencing CWEs, CVEs, MITRE Atlas.
I
So
saw that.
not just yeah, and thanks, and in the entries as well, not just providing like, because the top 10 doesn't want to be overly verbose. That's not the idea. But it just trying to go a bit more above and beyond of being like, here's something you should be worried about, and here are like 5 things you can do about it. More so being like, here's an example of where this is being like actively exploited, and here's another framework. And people can combine those frameworks. They'd use that to perform threat modeling and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you that diagram is funny, and it actually it caused quite a shakeup in my day job. Which, if anyone doesn't know it, I work at F5 on the day to day. But kind of bringing that in was like you should have seen like all the jaws drop at F5, going like, "Oh my God, we got this like CVEs listed right there," and like the MITRE mappings are right there. I need that because all the people in product need that. They need to see that.
It's cool. Thank you. Yeah, Scott made it pretty with the branding, but it was a late night Excalibur job.
No, I took the pre-branding one and I sent that out.
Yeah, it's OG. I like the sketch look. It
That
looks
was great.
cool.
It was
Yeah,
super
keep it.
sketch.
Looks rad.
Yeah. So thank you again for that. I do appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
And really, I guess anything new that we should watch out for coming from you in the future?
From
Or anything?
myself,
Yeah.
like personally.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Are you speaking for a while there? Like you were sending me new speaking engagements like every 5 minutes. It was like,
Yeah,
holy
yeah.
cow!
Last year was quite busy. It
Yeah.
was really exciting. I guess like on a personal level, this marks like my first podcast of the year, which has been super awesome. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Um, I aim to improve my offensive machine learning capabilities. At Dreadnode, we strive to, continuously push out new research and new tools. I really suggest you keep tabs on our platform, especially when you're looking at AI red team tooling, cyber evaluations, or offensive agents. I'm going to ShmooCon this weekend, which should be pretty awesome.
Cool.
First time, and it's the last one. I can't believe I got tickets.
Where is that?
Washington D.C.
Interesting. I've not been, obviously.
Yeah, apparently it's a super cool conference, I've heard. So it'd be nice meeting with some friends, jam, talk nerdy stuff, hack stuff together. Be good fun. And yeah, I guess right now I don't have like any other like speaking engagements or anything planned, but I'm always active in the OWASP group. I actually had a small win. I am part of the hacker advisory board at BugCrowd now, which is like super dope. So thank you to BugCrowd for having me. So I'll be, representing hackers. But I try to stay as active in the space as I can. So hit me up on LinkedIn, OWASP, Slack channel, or GitHub. I've, like I say, also been publishing my own tooling, trying to do some stuff for myself. So anyone wants to check out some of those tools and feedback or collaborate, like I'm totally always open. So
sweet. Well, I appreciate it, man. I really do appreciate the time today. It's always
Thank you.
spectacular to talk to you, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again. Now, I know Scott mentioned to me something about trying to set up a capture the flag one of these days. I don't know if you're involved in that yet, but maybe we'll be talking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can definitely recommend Crucible for that. But yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, I will talk to you again soon, and thank you, community, for tuning in. Again, you have been checking out the Generative AI Security Podcast from the OWASP Top 10 for LLM applications and GenAI. It's not a mouthful, trust me.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks for checking out the Generative AI Security Podcast. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.